I am going to try and work on a painting today. It's going to be the second in a series to go along with this one I did a couple of days ago. This sort of impressionist-y portrait of an enormous red-orange hair man half submerged in what appears to be a lake, and he's got a little boat moored at his nose. And I was really happy with how this turned out, and this sort of impressionist style sort of just came out of nowhere. I was just screwing around with leftover paint from something else, and I want to see if I can make that not a fluke and do a continuation here with another portrait of the same character. And I'll talk more about what's actually happening in the picture after I'm done. But I'll show you. Right. First, I'm going to take the exact same cadmium orange as I did, starting primarily with that one. And what happened with the could you fucking focus? Thank you. What happened with the first one was I had all this orange left over from painting that little Webster bust I did, and I just started laying it down in a shape turned into a face, and I left it really like just out of the tube, the solid color, and I don't really do that a whole lot. I'm sort of averse to just a big block of the same color. I'm really bad at blocking in general, like the idea of going in first and marking out all your shapes before you go in on fine details. I'm real bad at getting lost in detail and ending up with a wonky picture compositionally because I've been too focused on little details. But this is me trying to undo that a bit. So I'm just going to block in basically the top half of his head in this cadmium orange. And then I'm going to go in with a mixture of the cadmium orange and a Naples yellow for his the sort of cream colour interior marking of his face. I really love Naples yellow. It's like one of my favourite colours out of the tube ever. It's just that it's literally, it's like cartoon character with a cream muzzle face colour. But I'm going to also make it a little darker with some of that cadmium orange, because he's not going to be in direct light here. There's like, you can see this circle around here is going to be a spotlight on this painting that's on the wall, and he himself is going to be in the foreground, sort of half it, not entirely in shade, but just not in the direct light. So I'm going to go in with, starting with this much more muted down version of the cream with the cad. I'm also going to make sure to remember that his ear insides are a different variation of that color as well. They're almost a more red pink version of it. And I'm going to be keeping with that as his sort of color convention. I forgot to do the bridge of his nose down there, but that's fine. We'll get to that. Something I've struggled with until very recently is like sort of doing a long muzzled anthropomorphic character with the nose like sort of pointing downwards. I can't wrap my head around like the long face and how much of it you really see when it's pointed downwards. So I'm going to try and fix that a bit here as well with these. Well, not so much fix that with these, because this was a breakthrough in that regard. Like I did something there I don't usually do, and it turned out very satisfying. But I'm just going to get myself some more the undiluted cadmium orange here to do the bridge of that nose. I'm also painting on my bed, if you haven't noticed. Well, I'm at my easel, but I'm also just sort of painting directly. Everything's sitting on my bed on a blanket. I'm in my happy little comfort zone. Get more of that cadmium. Go down the nose. And you'll notice I haven't done an underpainting either. I was umming and ahhing about whether I wanted to do an underpainting, but I didn't really for this one. So I thought to keep them both, sort of make them look as much like each other as possible, I'm going to forego the underpainting. And what I also wanted to do while I've got the undiluted cadmium is I wanted to start drawing in his eyes, because they're the most important part of the original painting to me, is how his eyes turned out. Very, very impressionist, especially in the eye region. Very sort of... they're very much the focal point. Everything sort of draws into his eyes with the little shine on them. I wanted to keep that going as a sort of visual motif. Sorry, I'm realizing I'm pointing towards underneath the painting a lot, and that's probably really annoying. I'll stop that. I might also just shut up and do it and try and speed it up in post. Not much of a video editor, but I'll try. I'm also finding that the orange takes over the Naples yellow a lot, so I'm having trouble getting these areas lightened again, and that'll probably be the case until until the layers dry a bit, and it's not just going back into the wet cadmium orange. Okay, I went away for a few minutes just to let it all dry down a little bit. This whole area needs a lot of lightening up. I don't want it to be as light as this, because, like I said, he's sort of semi in shade here, so I also hang on. I also went up here and tried to strengthen the orange a bit. I'm keeping my pre-mixed colours in these little tubs that Pate comes in. It's very convenient. Now I'm going to go back in. Oh yeah, that's very much more the colour I want. Just scoop around. An important part of his shape philosophy is these, just the big sort of scalloped areas that make up his eye regions, which are going to be shaped a little differently in this one, because he's got that sort of nervous look on his face. So it's going to be less of a dramatic sort of circular shape, more of a sort of, what would you call this, sort of a French curve kind of shape. Just a little bit of definitely going to have to go back in. I might even make the orange darker to do the eye lines, and as well as in the original, you'll see he has these little wisps of eyebrow up here as well. And I do that with burnt umber that I haven't even got out yet, because I'm not good at thinking that far ahead, but you know how it is, right? Even lighter with this pass of closer to the original Naples yellow. I'm trying to be more wispy with my strokes too. I've always been bad at that. That's the problem I've always had trying to pull off the impressionist sort of stuff is I don't really flick the wrist like I should, like I was taught to. I was taught to do that in art school and it helped quite a lot, but then I defaulted back to sort of my stiff, gripping the pen kind of hand. This is still not lightening up enough for me, but it's getting there. I'm liking that a bit better. I was also thinking I can't decide whether I want the wall in the background to be like the blues in this, or maybe even more like how his face mask is in this one, like it's lighter, but it's basically the same color as he is. Sort of a choosing between harmony and contrast. I'm thinking contrast might be a better idea. Just have more of the blue in this one than this one. I'm still trying to scallop in the shape of his eyes a bit more. There we go. Because I'm really getting into the idea of the implication of the contour of the eye rather than just, drawing a cartoony eye circle. I might try and block in the ears now, actually. I'm going to be real with you. I don't know exactly how I got to this color in the ears. Don't really remember, but I'm pretty sure it was just a mixture of like this with a little bit of red and a teeny bit of the Payne's Grey. I love Payne's Grey. It's another one of my absolute favourite out in the tube colours. It's just a really beautiful... I love to use it instead of black in dark areas because it's just this rich sort of dark blue-grey. Like you can see it there. It's gorgeous. Oh, get the shape of his ears in here. There'll be a lot of colour variation in the ears because that's somewhere where I like to sort of express just sort of a space of texture and colour in a block of basically the same colour, but with like variations. I'll mix in a little bit more of the Paynes here and do the inner ear bit, whatever the hell that's called. Trying not to swear. I'm a big casual swearer, especially when there's a camera on me. Baby just wants to perform. Baby wants to be cool. More Paynes. Me when my doctor asks how my ear infection is going, just more Paynes. Oh, the usual, just more Paynes. There, I'm quite happy with how that's happening so far. And I'm going to need to, like I said earlier, break out the burnt umber for the outsides of his ears. Might as well do that now. Okay, I got the bumper. I'm going to take that bumper, little bit of the Paynes into it just to knock it down and darken it a little bit. And we're going to go Starting thin at the end there. Thickening out there at that lovely little bump. I love the contours of like long animal ears as a shape to draw, because they just sort of twist and turn all over the place in a way that's really interesting to try and trace the contours of. And I'm gonna, in the darker areas, it'll be even more just the panes coming in there. Maybe even, did I use a, I think I might have been naughty and put just a, because I know the boat is pretty much just black out of the tube. I think the ears have a little bit too. I also have an ultramarine blue here, which I can also use to make it a lot darker. But I'm not sure I want to do that yet, because this is sort of ending up having a different color temperature than this. It's like he's got more warm light on his face here, but at the same time his ears are sort of cooler, and here they're sort of, well, at least the burnt umber is a bit warmer. Oh, what have I done there? I've made like a pinky pink. I might hide that in here somewhere. Or like that. Some areas that are more pink. There's more blood in them or something. I don't know. I'm not a rabbit scientist. Might just clean that brush. Okay, I'm gonna get a bit more of the orange. Mix with this, some of this brown. I'm doing this really not smartly, because I'm holding a freaking phone at the same time. I tried to get my this shitty Officeworks phone mount to work for me, but it really was not wanting to play. Give him his little wisp of brow. I might even scumble that into the eye a bit. Not sure if I just went too dark with the eye, actually. I could fix that anyway. I just wanted to bring more dimension into that arch that's going on. And I don't know how much I want to go into his hair with dimension, because in this one I like that his hair is basically just a block of the bright orange that doesn't really make any sense. There's no dimension to it. It's almost like his hair is turning into really solid cartoon hair. Also gonna darken up the side here, because he has like a peak of what's sort of like the implication of like a sideburn where his ears meet his hair. I think that's cute. Yeah, no, I'm gonna... Don't know what I've just created here, but it might be a better eye color. Yeah, kind of like that better. I really want to get more of the variation in his face that exists in the original painting. They're definitely turning out, they're in like the same family of paintings. You could tell that much just by looking at them, but I want them to look more so. Yeah, I'm happy with those eyes now. They're darker than the other painting, but you know, darker lighting. And I think I am going to go with the blue for the backgroundy, but I'm going to do that later. Because what's going to happen is this is going to be like from up here, it's going to be like a plastered wall. And down here is going to be like floorboards. And I'm not sure how light or dark I want the floorboards to be. Haven't quite figured that out, but I want it to be lighter in the middle. Because like I've said, there's like a gallery spotlight coming down on the painting. There's a big circle of light on the back wall. And then I think I can just imply this a bit with some scumbling. It doesn't matter if it's the same color right now, but I'll tease it out a bit more in a bit when I'm doing that. There'll be sort of a circle on the floor as well where the light's hitting. Honestly, I don't have the most sophisticated sense of lighting. My sense of lighting is quite cartoony. But yeah. More of this, more of this, more of that, more of this. There we go. There's the life in his eyes. Just boom, the moment you put that shine down. I love doing that. Putting that shine down and it's just... the character just sort of arrives to inhabit the picture.